Hello and welcome to episode 53 of the Boxing Social podcast. I'm not live and direct from a jungle, even though there's a lot of plants behind me. I don't know why they put them there, but ask them. Anyway, before we get started, please remember to like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And also, if you haven't done so already, I don't know what you're waiting for. The new Boxing Social magazine is out. Mark Butcher's done a great job pulling all that together. It's a betting special. But anyway, more important things to talk about. I think we could call you a panel, because there's more than one person here. We've got the former WBO super featherweight champion of the world, Barry Jones, and we've got the reigning and defending champion of suits and mixed grills and air miles, Andi Purewal, the most successful 12-year-old in the whole of the UK.
Are your trainers, are they pink or are they white?
They're white.
They look a funny colour.
It's like that. It's like
it's the lights, because I put mine are the
he's
same.
Got pink trainers on anyway.
No, because you confuse me.
Anyway, that's an inauspicious start.
Hang on a minute. What's your last name again?
Purewal.
Purewal.
You'll get one.
Do I have to go purr?
Dex says he better than
Thank
me.
you.
What's it? Andi Purewal.
That's a professional.
You sound like a cat.
No, you pretend you're trying to make your name flashier than it is. My missus, right? Her last name's Millen, but she calls herself Milan. Got you now, girl. Got you now. She calls herself Milan. Hi, my name's Amanda Milan. It's Millen. Your father was Scottish, mate. It's Millen.
Didn't she win the WBO featherweight title?
What's that?
Didn't she? That sounds like that sounds like
I don't know. She's too fast for me. I'm not arguing with her. I don't give weight away. But so you're doing the same thing. Forget about the boxing. Forget about boxing. You shouldn't have come on. I told you shouldn't have come on.
That's his actual name.
What?
That's his actual name.
Purewal.
Yeah. It's not a stage name.
What's your real name?
That's it, Andi Purewal.
Purewal. What are you doing?
I'm messing it up now.
You did the funny Purewal.
No, because of you.
But what's your real name? Is it Purewal?
Yeah, we'll go.
Thank you. There you go.
Purewal.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, Barry, if you go on Boxing Social,
Andi Purewal.
any
Purewal.
Boxing Social interview with Andy, he introduces himself with first and second name, so it's not like he hasn't put it out there and out there.
It's just the way he says it. I don't like the way he says it. It's an issue.
You know what?
It's an issue. I got an issue with you, but I got a problem with you.
So I'll give you a bigger issue.
What?
Andy's not my first name.
Oh my God.
Oh, never.
Exclusive.
Oh, well, you're one of those, and you like what's his name? Radio Rahim.
Well, no, because my nickname is still the first four characters of my full name. My full name's Andi, but it's spelled I-double-P-E.
What's your first name?
Andi.
Andy.
P on the end.
Andy.
Yeah, so it's A-N-D-I-double-P-E.
That's such a great name. Whoa. That's the best name ever, Andeep.
Yeah, go Andeep.
Hi, love, how are you, all right? What's your name? Andeep.
I think you should go back to Andeep. Anyway, listen, we've got boxing to talk about. I know. But it's heavyweight speciale, our favourite. Joe Joyce, let's start there. Let's have a little look back. Wembley Arena at the weekend. Joe Joyce stopped Christian Hammer in the fourth round of their heavyweight contest. Kind of part of the course, what we expected, Barry. What do you
I think so. I think with any of the time Joyce boxes, you tend to think it's going the middle rounds, possibly late, but he wears you down and stops you, or he gets beat on points. You look at that because he's so easy to hit. But the Hammer of 2015, 16 would have probably took him a few more rounds, but doesn't beat him. This Hammer now, you would have always suspected that, even though he'd have a bit of success. I say success. You hit the target with Joyce. It's not really a success because you hit the target, but you get no joy. There's no satisfaction when you catch him with good shots because he breaks your heart. That's what he does. He just breaks your heart. He walks through you and knocks you out, or bludgeons you into submission. That's pretty much what he does, and that's pretty much what it was. I tell you what, though, it was a lovely body shot just before he got him on the ropes, just before he hit him in the corner. He with a lovely body shot. That done it. I don't think they didn't pick it up on the commentary. Who was the fellow in the commentary? I can't remember his name. 2-time world champion or something. But no, they just missed out on it. They just missed it. I think they focused on the big heavy shots. But he caught with a body shot, and he just dipped down a bit. He grimaced, and that was the start of it. And then obviously he got down. He got hit on the top of the head, or it didn't even look like a clean shot. But the body shot was the shot that really, really put him down.
What do you reckon, Andeep? Impressed?
He got the job done, but he wasn't impressive. He's just too easy to hit, and I understand that's his style. It's entertaining for us as fans, but against the heavier hitters, against the guys who are kind of in the younger, the primer years of their career, and the guys who can wallop hard at either Wilders, the AJs, even Fury, if he does come back, if that fight was to ever to happen, you'd imagine that granted, when hammer hits him, it can deflate you, as Barry said, to see him just continue to walk forwards. But if they catch you, it'll be a different story.
Do you think though? Because I wonder whether the jury might still be out on that. Because I'm with you. If you get hit by Wilder that open, you're probably going. But I wonder whether maybe his chin. Well, we don't know, do we? What his chin is going to look like against a big hitter in the heavyweight division.
You don't, and so you're always going to be the unknown. Is always the thing that you can predict. But it's how he wasn't elusive against Dubois. Dubois is quite stationary and square shoulders, so you know where the punches are coming from with Dubois, though he hits you and hurts you. But he was more looser. And that was when Steve Broughton was training him on his own. And that might be the better fit for him rather than
Salas.
Yeah, Salas. Yeah. I don't know Salas. He's supposed to be a great trainer, and I'm sure he is. But I think I liked him against Dubois. That's the best I've seen him against Dubois, actually. Everything about him. He moved a little bit more, but didn't give up what his strengths were. And maybe he went in for this fight with Hammer with no respect or no fear. But he was easy as to hit as he's been in any other fight. Like, too easy. He got a big right hand in he straight away. Big loop-in right hand over the top. You tend to think with Wilder throwing it from range, if he's pushing you back, man, you're punching as you're moving back, you can't generate the same power. So that might be his tact, and where these bigger punchers might lose a bit of steam on their shots because of that. But he's flat-footed, too flat-footed. He's flat-footed enough for them to plant their feet and throw the shot, I think. So, you tend to think that if Wilder throws it, or even Joshua, if Joshua throws a shot that hits you clean on the button with those smaller gloves, it's hard to see how you don't feel it. And visibly feel it as well. We don't see that you've been hurt, to be fair. Especially because he's a sitting duck for shots. But still, that's how we can't all be the perfect package. Some of us can punch, some of us can't. Some of us can take a shot, some of us can't. You have what you have. And he plays to his strengths. More than any fighter I know, he plays to his strengths. I can walk through you and I'll just keep hurting you without... He haven't got enough speed in his punches to really knock you cold. But every shot wears you down until you can't take any more.
If Wilder and Fury and Joshua had boxed before the arbitration and before Fury had to fight Wilder for the third time, chances are we would have already had Joe Joyce against Alexander Usyk. Obviously not the biggest puncher in the heavyweight division, Usyk, as a cruiserweight going up. How would you see that fight going, Andy, if you jet those styles? How would you see him gelling? Because you would think straight away, well, Usyk wins that fight, but does he?
It's not as straightforward as what people think. I'd love to see that fight as well. It'd be an unbelievable fight, and it's going to be very different to how they'd boxed in the WSBs, because everyone keeps bringing that up. But I'd still probably favour Usyk just to be that elusive, to continue to miss him. Like Joyce, as we know, is relentless, and it just comes down to those final 3 or 4 rounds. I think Usyk would box him for maybe the first 6 or 7, and Joyce would come strong towards the end. It's just a matter of if he can stop him or not, because I don't think he'd beat him on points. He'd have to stop him, and it would be from maybe about 8th or 9th onwards. So it only gives him about 3-4 rounds to do so. But I would still think Usyk would probably outmaneuver him throughout the fight and nick the points win.
What do you reckon, Barry?
Yeah, I think so. I think, again, going back to the point, because Joyce is not a concussive, he's big, heavy-handed, but because he hasn't got the velocity and the speed and the shots like a Wilder has, then he can hurt Usyk, certainly can hurt him, but I don't know whether he can knock him clean cold. And I think that might be the telling factor, that he can hurt him, but Usyk will have enough knowledge and movement to get out of the way and save himself and come back. And we talk about Joyce's great engine. Usyk's got a pretty good engine himself, and also with Usyk, he can fight at your pace or his own pace. So see, Joyce fights at his own pace, which is a slow, methodical pace. He's got a great engine. He doesn't stop throwing punches. That's probably why he lacks a bit of pop in some of the punches, because he's just continually throwing shots. But Usyk will make you fight different. He will slow you down or speed you up, make you chase him. So you've got to do things differently. And then, if you really got a good engine when you're boxing out of your rhythm. And I think Usyk will make him do that. And that's where you tend to think down the stretch, it might be Joyce that's tired, and not the other way that we all think.
Yeah, he hasn't got anywhere to go then. No extra gear.
Well, yeah, but he can't run you down if his leg. No, we talk about jokingly about looks like he's punching underwater, but literally, if he's having to chase you all the time and you're forcing him to do things he's not used to doing, punching at a different rate, have to throw more punches than he wants to, keep turning his body all the time, all those different movements. They don't seem like a lot, but for big fellas over a distance, it's effective. And also just boxing someone else's rhythm. I talk about this all the time. Your breathing, you're regulating your breathing is differently. You're always second guessing. You're always reactive to someone else, and that's the difference. And then down the stretch, it really tells. And I think that might be where Usyk sort of takes control.
Now that's a fight. Obviously, it's not going to happen. He's actually in a bit of a tight spot.
Well, what are we talking
Joe
about?
Joyce. Well, it's just hypothetical, total waste of time actually.
Like having him here.
Yeah, but if you look at the heavyweight division now, look, Joe Joyce beat Daniel Dubois, and Dubois is the one with the momentum even after Saturday night, really.
Yeah.
And which is a bit sad. And Joyce is not getting any younger. I think he's 35, 36 already, because he was kind of late turning over and stuff. What's next for him? Like, where does he go now? Because you've got to assume the top guys are sort of tied up. What's the plan?
I thought when they had Frank Warren, I put something on Twitter and I got like blasted for it. But he had a smile on his face, Warren, like as if he's going to big fight in September. Him and Dubois. It seems that way.
You reckon?
I don't know. I don't have a clue, but I wouldn't be shocked. And because if those titles because I think Frank's hoping on. See, Frank Warren's been in the business for years, so he's clever. So he looks like he's why is Dubois boxing for this Trevor Brighton in America for this WBA title? That means nothing. It means nothing on the big scheme of things. But what he's engineered. He got 2 number ones pretty much there, haven't he?
Yep.
For the WBA. Usyk might want to go if Usyk wins or if Joshua wins. I'll fight them. Not only scared, and he might just keep one title. I'll just keep my IBF title. I'll just keep the WBO title, whatever it is, and all of a sudden, I think he thinks that one of those titles is going to go free.
You either get a vacant shot or you get step-side money.
Well, Dubois, and then all of a sudden, he'll risk Dubois versus Joyce because he owns. This is not 1990s anymore. They're in the same sort of promotional company. So they fight each other. Frank never loses. That's a promoter's dream. You have 2 fighters. You want the one to win, the younger one to win, ideally. But ultimately, I never lose because I have a piece of both. I think that's it. And also, to him, it's a stadium fight. I'm not quite sure about that, but to him it is. So I can see it. And I WBA not. And the worst case scenario is for Dubois' WBA thing. But I think he's thinking about the WBA
still sells,
super title. Yeah, I think it sells because there's a narrative to the story there, isn't there? I think on the I thought Joyce was winning the fight anyway, but I think on the cards he wasn't. So Dubois winning the fight. Then he gets that detached retina or whatever they said. Everyone was a doctor and optician like 10 seconds after the fight. But he had damage to the eye, and there's people saying he quit. Is he a quitter? They can sell that. Is he really a quitter? Or he was so brave. He fought with his eye hanging out, and however they want to sell it. But there's a story there, and I think everyone loves a redemption story. I think, and yeah, it's a great sell.
Would you risk that? Would you risk Dubois back? What's he had 2 since then?
Yeah. Would you, Andi
Would you stick him in with Joyce?
I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think that they'll go that way either. I think you've got to wait up if he's waiting to see what happens between Usyk and AJ, and then obviously you've got to see if Tyson's going to come back and want to face the winner for the undisputed, if that can be made. In September, if he gets out, does he risk a big fight? Or does he actually think that he's got a chance on either Dubois or Joyce picking up a vacant and then hanging around for one of them to get the mandatory shot eventually? And in which case, do we see another hammer fight in September for Joyce?
The rematch.
Oh, don't do that.
Just somebody like Hammer that he's not.
Get him back.
Yeah, 2 of those.
Get the rematch back.
Tackle Madness. I put that on Twitter as well. I said but this is what you're saying. He beats Dubois, but yet Dubois seems to have gone jumped the queue on him, and he's boxing another mag-time fight against Hammer.
He was supposed to be fighting Parker, wasn't he? And then Parker signed with Sky, and that's impossible now.
That would have been a great fight as well if that would have
perfect for both of them.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just a shame that didn't happen because it would have been Joe's first fight against a world level fighter in the pros. And he would have really given him a gouge and given us an idea as to whether or not he can mix it at the top.
Yeah.
To bear in mind, promoters don't want a unification. Like, why would they want that? Why would I just say Frank Warren? I'm digging on Frank Warren or praising him up, just for instance, because he's involved in this more than anyone else. Why would he want Tyson Fury to go and box Joshua for the undisputed title when he can have Joshua and Fury box anyway to say who's the best on the planet for the WBC and WBO and the IBF, and then the WBA super title, the two top number 1, number 2 challengers, or the number one and their regular, whatever that is, Dubois and Joyce box each other for the genuine, what would be deemed as a genuine world title, and then he puts them together. Then hopefully that gets fragmented and he gets another piece of someone else. And on it goes. They want to just keep building that fights up, but actually not really ever really getting that final product. So I think, if him and Dubois can be a genuine world title fight, bear in mind, all mandatories will be due as soon August the 20th. Yeah. August the 21st, all mandatories are due. For I think for all the organisation belts, I think, if I'm right. So, everyone who has a stake, the top 3 or 4 fighters, will be lobbying their fighters what they should be next within a 90-day period. And obviously, Frank will be pushing as quick as he can to get to, we got this date. Can we just get rid of your title and let us have it?
Do you think they might, obviously Dubois is very young and Joyce is not, Joshua's not, Fury's not. Do you reckon there's a chance they just keep Dubois relevant and unbeaten? It'd be incredibly damaging for him to lose again to Joyce now. If you just avoid him, I'm not saying he wants to, I'm sure we want to fight him tomorrow, but you avoid him for a couple of years, same with the rest of them, you're well placed, sitting pretty to be one of the real contenders in that division without having to go near these guys.
Maybe, but also, this is like a golden era for heavyweight boxing in Britain. You would tend to think. We have some top class heavyweights, probably more than not ever before, but for a long, long
just
time.
look at the rankings full of English.
Yeah, but British. So it's, why would you want to miss out on that? That's what I would be thinking. As much as I understand we say save him till all these guys retire, and then you could potentially be king of the tree. Though there's a couple of Americans to be worried of. Hrgovic, yeah. But Antonio Yoka, I'm not joking. Matt McCauley, no, I'm not joking. That's a good fight. But why would you want to break round? I think you take him while you're there, and also they've been rushing him forward, except for the Joyce thing. They're pushing him. They're wanting him to get there. They're desperate, and also now promoters are too tied up with TV companies. There's an eagerness now, an over eagerness to get their fighters to the top quicker, especially a marquee fighter, which is any heavyweight. That's the truth, because you build a TV network pretty much for boxing around the heavyweight. That's all it is. That's how it works. Whether he's the best fighter on the planet or not. You must have Josh Taylor in your camp, who until recently was the best British fighter. He had to be number 1 British fighter until the Catchall fight. But yet, if you got Dubois is more, gets more interest of a TV company than he does. That's how it works. Everyone loves a heavyweight. So yeah, I think I don't think they wait around too much. They don't chuck him in with everyone, but I think if he gets the opportunity to box somebody, and also they look at Joshua now as damaged goods. Everyone looks at, and he sort of is. They look at him as damaged goods, and also a chance that he can be beat. And if you can punch like Dubois can punch, and you can hit him, and he is hittable, you can hurt him. But he can hurt you as well. That's the
some
problem.
murmurs of Deontay Wilder as well. They're trying to call him out and tease him over for that.
Who
Frank Warren
for Dubois?
For Joe Joyce.
Oh, Joe
September.
Yeah.
Because he needs a big fight. Okay, then I'll ask both of you this.
Oh, sorry, I went off on a Dubois thing then.
If you were the promoter of Joe Joyce, say you were.
Joe Joyce, Dubois.
You heard of him?
What?
He boxed Dubois. He boxed ages ago. Joe Joyce has got a fight in September.
Joe Joyce, yeah.
Who would you put him in with in this September? Knowing what you do.
Then Dubois, we just said it.
Would. That would be your pick.
For Joe Joyce, it would, yeah.
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 So you would choose that rematch.
It's a good money fight for him.
Yeah.
So he gets to the front of the queue then with the WBA. Like I said, all mandatories are due. Gets the opportunity. They're not going to get Deontay Wilder over here, unless it has to go pay per view. But even then, the man's in the fortunes now for those Fury fights, I presume. So he's going to want too much straight away. I don't know what he wants, and I'm only talking out of my back end here.
No, wouldn't you?
But it's going to be a minimum of like 6-7 mil, isn't it? And that's just not. No one's going to pay that. No, it's a good fight over here, and they'll sell, but it won't sell for that. Because then Dubois is going to say, well, he's getting 7 mil. I want 4 minimum. Where do they generate the money from?
So you would do the Dubois.
I don't know this. I don't know nothing about promoting, by the way.
Well, who would you pick? Who would you match him with if you had something? You said you want Hammer rematch.
It's difficult.
All things considered, in the context of this division, who would you have him fighting in September?
I would, as a fan, I'd love to see the Dillian White fight. I'd love to see Wilder above White. But a logical pick, under the assumption, if say Usyk beats AJ, and even though he looked bad against Sokolowski when he come over, Otto Wallin. I think Otto might give him a few rounds. It'd be a bit more of a trickier fight. Gets him used to southpaw stance. Yeah. Sets it up for him for January.
More than that, the old-fashioned way, you put him in with fighters who have been beat by the better fighter than you, so you have a comparison.
Yeah.
About if he
does a better job. I mean,
Fury,
you can't do a worse job and win.
Yeah.
That was a tough night, wasn't it?
Yeah, so if he does a better job and win, or he loses, but
and if he loses, if he doesn't beat Wallin, then he's not up to it anyway, is he?
But I think from a promoter's point of view, for Warren, that Dubois fight's an easy sell. I think, unless they don't want to risk Dubois, but I can't see why you wouldn't. No, I think you won that. You won. I think the titles are going to fragment. And I think as soon as this fight's over, as soon as Joshua Usyk fight's over, I think they're going to fragment.
If
there's too many mandatories demanded.
Yeah, but if they do it, if they can do a deal quickly, I mean that's a big if. But then it's going to trump all the mandatories in it for one time.
And I want that. I want that to happen. I want one champion, but also
it's fanciful, isn't it?
It stinks. No, it's more than that. It stinks. The fact that all these mandatories, all these challengers. And not just the 1, 2, and 3. It goes all the way down to like 15, 16. Because you can't get a step up now because you have to wait for all these multi-millionaires to fight each other 3 or 4 times so they can all make loads of money while you're waiting. WBC titles been held ransom for 3 years now plus, and same with these ones now. It's another 12, 18 months. And if they go on again to get another, that'd be another 3 years for all of them being held up with 4 fighters. That's not fair. There's been no controversy except for the one fight with Fury and Wilder. There's no controversy in any of those fights at all. There's been conclusive winners for all the other 3 conclusive winners. Usyk was a conclusive winner, and Fury for the next 2. So I don't see why these rematches are allowed. I mean, the rematch, you're allowed to have rematch, but the title shouldn't be held ransom. Rematch, but make it a non-title fight. Let someone else.
The counter argument, though, isn't it, is that the belts are supposed to be for the best. The champion should be the best in the division.
Yes.
So I get what you're saying, but
why have a ranking system then? Because it doesn't work, does it? If you're getting the number 1, and then you're allowed, you should. There was a thing before, unless there was a massive, unless it was some sort of massive controversy, you couldn't box for a title if you had a defeat.
Yeah.
You have to have a win a fight for it. That was a British thing, wasn't it? You have to win a fight before you box for the British title. You couldn't go straight after the loss, and it should be the same. Unless it's like a Canelo situation or a Josh or a Wilder Fury first one when it was massively controversial and you have to have a second or a draw, then the rematch can happen, but he has to earn his place again. That's how the system should work. Then it's a fair system, and you can't complain then about when someone else gets a shot. So your next challenger might be an easy fight for you, but he's earned his right. By boxing the
IBF
the Continental
definitely did that, but then you got things like Kell Brook against Jojo Dan, Kevin Bizier. So we wanted to see him in other fights, but he had these mandatories to sort of box off, and so there is a middle ground somewhere, isn't there?
Yeah, there is a middle ground. Yeah, there is a middle ground. Well, the thing is, you shouldn't be able fighters who are not world class shouldn't be able to get to number 1 or 2 by just boxing for their international intercontinental titles. That's what happens. You get put into the top. Once you win one of those, you're in the top 10 straight away. But sometimes you literally box a journeyman for that title and get you in the top 10. That's not fair. No, it's not. It's just ridiculous. You see some of the rankings now. You see these like world class fighters at number 6, and you see a guy who's 23-0, who's got 4 defensive intercontinental title, and just literally boxed like Latvians and all that who are not very good. Not all Latvians. Some might be brilliant, but the ones I'm referring to, and he's above him because he's played the system. And he had played the system perfectly, or Tundi on his behalf, and he was knocking people over. But they played that ranking system the way a manager should, really. No risks, but get you there, and get you the shot. And if you're good enough, it's a big risk. It's risky because you could get hurt. Actually, with Yad, it wasn't too bad for him. Actually, it didn't turn out, and he turned out to be a class fighter. But no, it could have been egg on your face, and that kid could have been seriously hurt.
Before we look ahead, I just wanted to touch on another fight on that card, on the undercard. Zolani Tete stopped Jason Cunningham in the 4th at super bantamweight. Tete, he's still, obviously, it hasn't all gone his way the last few years, but he's still dangerous, man.
He's the African Kiko Martinez.
Yeah,
isn't he? Evergreen.
Yeah.
Like, he's looked that age. He looked at him, the way he looks now.
Yeah, how old he can't even be.
He's about 48. Right, he was because when I we did an exchange, my school,
34.
an African school, and me and him swapped places, but so it makes him 58. But he's just evergreen, isn't he? Like, he's looked that age since he was 14, by the way, and he looked that age when he's 60.
Yeah.
Like, there's just no expression on his face.
That's a long time ago. He knocked out Paul Butler as well.
Yeah, he's a really top class fighter. Well, that Butler fight, I was in love with Paul Butler. Everyone knows how much of a fan of Paul Butler I was, because he was just brilliant. And I thought this was the fight for him. They wouldn't bring this fella over here, and also he looked vulnerable, Teddy, because he was making like super fly or something one day, and he was massive, and that's what flyweight or whatever, and he looked good. But I thought he's vulnerable, and I think Butler will do a great job. And I got that. I don't get many wrong. I get loads wrong. But that one
was an emphatically wrong one for
that was worse than my Bivol Canelo.
Yeah.
That was, by the way. But that was, I got it totally wrong. He was just
he's 34 and he's dangerous.
He's not 34.
But he can punch. What do you reckon, Andy? Can he what's the sort of situation at Super Bantam? Do you see him troubling those two top guys really in that division?
No, because I mean, everyone loves Tete, but just MJ and Stephen Fulton are just in kind of a league of their own at the minute in that division, and it's unfortunate on the promotional front that it just doesn't seem like we will see that undisputed fight, because it'd be an unbelievable fight. But I couldn't see Tete troubling either of them. I was surprised, to be honest. He was as emphatic as what he was on Saturday.
He looked class, didn't he?
Like,
especially against someone like Jason Cunningham, who's a good boxer, tidy, awkward, like sort of. I thought he would last longer than that.
Yeah.
But to be honest, what Cal Frampton said, to be fair, and sometimes that world class to European class, which is what Cunningham is massive. Different weights, different times, it can be smaller, but sometimes it's a huge gulf, and you can be massively exposed. I think that's all it was. You're banking, like you had with Kiko Martinez, you're just banking on him being old. You can't just bet against him all the time, though, because he can't keep going. He can't keep producing quality all the time. But when you're boxing below your level, your visions. You've got a guy with really good vision and timing anyway in Tete. But when you're boxing someone below your level, it's even easier. You see it. It's like it becomes like a sparring for you. You see everything quite comfortable, and you can just set your shots up. It's just too easy for him. That's nothing to do with Cunningham. He's been fantastic. Jason Cunningham. Actually, I was working on the fight where he beat Yafai. To be honest, he was just brilliant that night. He really was. And he said, and also he's a proper boxing story. Cunningham, he's like, they're littered. We don't get enough. We always talk about the superstars, but there's a kid there who had nothing going for him. Was never he won an ABA, I think, didn't he? Which is good, but literally, you look at him, you thought he's going to be a decent British level fighter, but that's it at best. And he surpassed all expectations, including his own. And that's a true story. That's a true magic of boxing. It can change your life, not always financially, but you look back and you go, look what I did, and no one thought I was going to do anything, and look what I've done now. I boxed a world class fighter. I won a European title. I pushed one of the best amateur stars, in Britain and Ireland, which is obviously Michael Conlon. Of recent times, I pushed him really hard in a fight when no one gave me a chance against. And yeah, so I think it's like he'll come again as well. Actually, I think, to be fair, we won't see the last of him. But Tete, I think that's right. I think Andy's right with Tete. As good as he is,
no chance against those top boys.
I don't think so. No.
There was a time, it won't happen now because the stars didn't quite align, but Tete Inoue was they were operating in the same sort of circles. Can you imagine that a couple of years ago? That in terms of fireworks and power, and
Tete at his best gives Inoue plenty of problems.
100%, because that power as well.
No one beats Inoue.
No, not now.
I mean, at any rate. Seriously, I don't know.
Joe Joyce?
I think he beats Wilder. He breaks his kneecaps and just chops him down, like knees, hips. That's how we do it. Ribs, and I get your chin on the way down when you're falling apart. The man's a monster.
Maybe
his nickname should be the Monster.
Oh, you should send him a message on Twitter or something. Let him know. Monster, good work. Okay, let's look ahead this Saturday. More heavyweights. This time at the O2, a show that is entitled Total Carnage, which I think is pretty on the money. Derek Chisora against Kubrat Pulev. Now, I wish, if only we had the commentator or someone who's working on the broadcast amongst us, we could get some real insight now.
Well, I say that. I am working for DAZN, great company, DAZN. Matchroom. Oh, just real lovely people. All joking aside, they're lovely people. Lovely people. Just lovely.
Accommodating.
What? That word? I don't know what it means.
What was that company again, Barry?
Matchroom and DAZN. They're lovely people. Great people.
Dance.
Fantastic people. But seriously, all joking aside, I just get their business. They're nice people. But I've lost what we were talking about.
Chisora and Pulev
I'm going to the public work. I'm doing some work on the public workout on Wednesday. And if Chisora, which he doesn't, but if someone tells him the things I've been saying on here, I might not make it to Saturday. But I get my wish of being able to sue him. And then my pension.
Loads of cameras. Andy be there.
I'll have an early pension.
Yeah.
So that's so Derek. Either way, you either let me live, which I thank you, or you give me my early pension and my kids can go to private school. So I thank you again.
Barry, if you do have any issues with Derek, just make sure I'm about so I can film it.
Film it.
Yeah.
Get that on pay-per-view.
We'll give you a cut of a profit.
I'll go. Yeah. Andi Purewal.
But Pulev Chisora is sort of the fight that nobody wanted, to be honest. But now it's here. I've got to say, it's I'm looking forward to watching it. Really am.
I can't wait. I will watch it. I'm looking forward to it. It's just kind of as in the same bracket as what most people are. Would much rather see Derek have kind of just hung them up now. He's got nothing left to achieve in the sport. He's fought so many top level guys. He's earned a bucket load of money.
Three losses in a row, by the way.
Yeah, and looking at how he looked against Parker in the last fight, you could easily have made a case for a ref stopping that after the first knockdown, never mind the second, the third. Yeah, it's one of them. Like, I'll watch it and I will enjoy it, but it's just a question of who has more left in the tank.
Yeah, because Pulev, he's won once since he was stopped by Joshua. He had a weird fight, bare knuckle, or in that triangle thing. So he had two. So he's had two bouts. I never realised he's shot away as well. I remember when before he boxed Joshua the first time when he pulled out. I remember going to Cardiff and doing a media day and interviewing him before and stuff, and he seemed very sort of cold and quiet and whatever. And then he really came alive in that Joshua fight week and won a load of fans. So this is two mad guys going at it. I think it's gonna be carnage. I don't know. I have no idea what to pick here either, because you don't know what Pulev's got left. You don't know what Chisora's on a run of 3 defeats, but he's going to bring the heat, isn't he?
Well, he's the heavyweight version of Kiko Martinez, without being world class.
Or Spanish.
No, but I remember, I was looking. I had to get the date. So because we had loads of his fights on Box Nation, and so that phrase I keep mentioning it. You can recycle a heavyweight so his legs came off. Came from about watching Derek Chisora, because after David Hay fight, I thought he had 3 losses on the trot there. Hellenius.
Yeah.
Probably won. Klitschko and then Hay. He did really well against Hay, but he got knocked out. But he was in stinkers against him. I think Scott was a good win for him, actually.
Yeah.
But the Gerber,
undefeated.
and also Gerber was
the copper box.
Gerber is possibly his best win.
Yeah, that was European title.
Yeah, he boxed brilliant. Yeah, he been really.
Scott was good. Scott was undefeated at the time.
Yeah. And it was a weird Scott. It was one of those.
Jacked it a bit, didn't he?
No, he got up at 9.
Yeah.
He got up at 10 or 9 or 8 or whatever. He got up too late and then cried about it.
Yeah, I remember that.
But really, he didn't want to know. That's the truth of it. And but he was good. But then he had some really stinkers. He just didn't want to be there. You could see.
Gabriel, I remember he lost in Monaco. He obviously lost to Pulev once as well. It seems like a lifetime ago. Yeah. Actually was.
But I think, if Pulev got anything left, is technical ability, and I think that unless Chisora can find some real energy in his work, which wasn't really evident against Parker the last time out, then I think Pulev can outbox him again, to be fair.
One about that, I don't know if it makes much of a difference either. He hasn't announced it, but it seems to be that he's back with Don Charles for the fight as well.
Is he?
Oh,
That's
wow.
what I spoke to Mark Tibbs, and Mark Tibbs said that to me, because he'd arranged through Don to go and spar with Johnny Fisher, and Don was there, so I assume Don's going to be working his corner. So if that proves to be the case,
I
It's
hope
kind of
so.
like he's gone back in. We've all gone back in time a little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can change his order though. Like, because
No, you got to
he just does,
manage him.
because he been slapping with that overhand right. I've been saying it from the early boxing days. If he turns that right hand over, he's knocking people out. Just literally lift the elbow a little bit. No, the overhand right's the right shot for him because he's not the tallest heavyweight.
He got Takam with one, didn't he?
Yeah,
That exact shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he hits you with the fingers of the glove most of the time. So he's hitting fellas and he's not putting them to sleep. But he's making all the effort doing the right movement. But if he just hits him with the knuckle of the glove, just turns the hand over, it's a vicious shot. But he just no, and I think about Neil Don Charles in his corner for years, and I think they must see it. Like if I'm seeing it and Don Charles don't see it, I don't think so. He sees it. Now Don Charles, to be fair, he's quite an intelligent man, and so he knows it, but you just can't get him to do it, and that's just the way some fighters are. I used to go with Frank Buglioni. This is chin up too high. He got like Mark and Jimmy Tibbs in his corner. Well, they haven't noticed that also training camp. Some people just keep doing just the habits, mistakes. You just can't rectify them. And I think that's with him. Was he slaps with some of his shots. Even left hook he slaps with. And it was a great shot. It's his best punch, but he actually slaps with that a little bit more than he should. So actually his technique is really poor. There's just a man who dines out on brute strength and commitment to everything when he wants to. He could be in some horrendous fights, but that's been a long time. Actually, there's been sort of 2 or 3 stages of Derek Chisora's career.
Definitely, yeah.
Characters in its own right. He's been different people, haven't he? Pretty much. The only thing I admire about Derek Chisora is he's going to pay for my kids' future. He's a lunatic, right? I think, and he seems very unhinged. And he says some horrendous things that are unforgivable things. Actually, sometimes things he does and says, but I think that's him. I don't think it's an act. I think that's him. I think he's genuinely like that. Some people pretend to be mad and pretend to be hated and act like an idiot, but they can't sell it because that's not really them. And I have no respect for them because you're just acting like an idiot just trying to sell tickets. I know he picks up tables and throws it, but I genuinely think you pick up a table and throw it because that moment
He was fuming.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
fuck you, and it's going.
Yeah.
I don't care. I think that's him, and I think he'd be like. That's why I always say all the time of all the people, like some law boxers don't like some of the things I say. They take it personal. This never is, but sometimes they do, and that's just life. None of them would actually have a go at me, really have a go at me, but I always say him, don't I? I picked him for my future earnings because I think he genuinely, if you're unhappy, he would tell you, and if you told him to leave me alone, he would forget about you being smart. He'd just give it to you wherever you are. I suppose he's not in prison actually, and to be honest, with assault or something, the way he acts, because he's just again.
I also think he's very.
I say it and I go, oh, I don't mean that, Derek. But you know what I mean is he's being him. I admire that. I am who I am. This is who I am. If you don't like me, you don't like me. And you got to admire that, and if you don't like it.
I think he's incredibly astute and bright business-wise as well. The amount of money he's made, the amount of the moves he's made. At the time, you think, what's doing that for? In the end, it sort of paid off, literally paid off for him.
Yeah.
And he's a very rich man, in terms of relation to his ability.
Massively, yeah, of course he is, yeah.
And that's because he's made these moves down the years. And I remember always interviewing, I'm interested to see what you reckon, Andy, but interviewing him over the years, he's always been about, what is it going to make me the money? If not, what have I got to do for the money? There's things where he's, threatened to not come out of his hotel room and not fight and all that sort of stuff, because he knows this whole thing, the whole sport is based on nothing, isn't it? It's all can all just crumble down at any point. Remember what was the fight with Prograis Taylor? Yeah. Remember that?
When he was on the stage and he was saying to Eddie, pay me more. Was it to Calla, sorry,
to
pay me more?
He was saying,
and he was trying to pass it on to
I
Eddie.
should be the main event. These guys, no one's heard of you. Yeah. Tell them both this.
Do you know what, though? I remember that and I remember thinking, I hate it.
Really?
I hate it. Not him, I hate it, the whole thing. Because he's right.
Yeah.
Because Prograis and Taylor are 10 times the fighter he is. Technically, everything. They're much better. Maybe all toughness to not. Maybe. He maybe joins him. He don't better him in that, by the way. But he maybe equals him in that alone. Everything else, they stand. If Derek Chisora was a middleweight, he's been stopped. If Derek Chisora was a middleweight or a super middleweight, he probably loses his license. No, I'm not being fair. He doesn't box at world level. No in a million years. He's a heavyweight. And I think you can, even though it's tougher in some aspects, in other aspects, you can get to the top easier. Because, especially if you take a good shot. Because big fellas can have that same can't keep that same. Take away Tyson Fury, take away Usyk. Heavyweights can't produce that same level of excellence throughout the 12-round fight now because they're so big and heavy. They just can't. There's a couple who can still do it, and that's why they're set apart from everyone else. But in every other weight, you have to keep that same excellence, and maintain that excellence, concentration, and ability throughout all the rounds, even when you're tired, because you'll get caught or get outboxed or stopped or whatever. So he's dined out on his toughness. But in other weights, in lower weights, that wouldn't be good enough to get you past British level.
And then there's not enough money.
But he's not.
Yeah.
But he's not. He is a heavyweight. He is what he is. So, and that's not his fault. I mean, he's lucky. He's gifted. But also, he's earned his money because he's taken his punches. And like you said, I'd like to see him retired. I do agree with Andy. I think he's had a hard career. I know people. We choose who we have sympathy for. We choose who we want to protect. He shouldn't box again. He's had a great career. Let him finish now before he gets hurt. Amir Khan. Kell Brook, we said it a little bit, especially Amir Khan. We're not saying it about Derek Chisora. We're saying it, but we're not saying it in the same vigour as we are about Derek Chisora. He shouldn't be boxing. I'm glad he's boxing. It's live on the zone. I love the lovely people. No, but it's true.
The fact is, he beats Pulev, we'll see him again, won't we?
Yeah.
Even if he loses, we might see him again.
But that's the worry for me. If he wins, he continues if he wins, and that was the worry of all these guys who shouldn't really be boxing. They keep good. They have that little moment. The worry is later in their life. That's the worry. Not the worry now. Carry on. You entertain everyone. You're making good money, and that's life. But you want to be able to spend it. Because you think, I'm 35 now, I'll be all right. You'll be all right till you're 45, maybe 55. Then it deteriorates. I don't know. I'm not old yet. But I'm not far off it, though. But, it does, though. I had my last fight at 25, and I feel effects from boxing now. Not massively, but I feel them physically. I have to sleep like that, everyone. My shoulder's so bad, you could hang me on a tree and leave me in my sleep. Literally, you could. I sleep with my arm on my head like this. Luckily, I'm short, so my bed, I got to look at the room. But, if it was you, you'd be knackered, wouldn't you? But, it's so you feel the effects.
Still got blisters from the pivots as well, probably.
Oh, pivot. I was going on the pivots next. Right? Yeah. Well, Joe Kazagi tells me the same. I got him in.
We got him in. Just in time. All right, lovely. We'll leave it there, boys. Thanks so much for your time. More importantly, thanks for you lot for watching. No offence, you lot. Remember, download the magazine. You might like it. And we'll see you next time.